Hashicorp Vault learning series point of view. Fourth topic is Vault policies. So I'm in a certification homepage of Hashicorp Vault Associate Certification curriculum point of view. We have seen the first section. The second is Vault policies. Under that, illustrate the value of the Vault policy, syntax path, capabilities, and create a policy based on the requirements. So let's try to understand that. So as we have seen in the previous session, Vault architecture point of view, there is a Vault core engine which has a storage layer where you can use internal and external cloud-based storages, and Vault has secret engines. You can store variety of secrets, and Vault has the most important authentication and policy mechanism where you can log into the Vault system by using all these systems, where policies will tell you about the authorization. And Vault has audit capabilities as well, where you can store the Vault secret specific audits into the number of system. So this is a typical one simple Vault system. This is Vault policy. So in the Vault, everything is a path based. What exactly it means? I have a Vault server. If I say Vault auth list, then number of authentication systems which I enabled in my system. GitHub, AWS, these all are the path and the types here. And if I do the Vault secrets list, it has a path. Cubbyhole, database, GVR /web UI. Under that another folder I kept the passwords. And this is a key value type. And secret MySQL, this path could be anything, any arbitrary name. So I am storing. So everything is a path based. And policy describes to grant or forbid access to path, means whatever the Vault policy will describe whether to access to this path. Let's take an example of GVR /web UI. This is the key value. I stored some simple username password. If you define a policy, that policy will tell whether to grant access or deny access to this particular path. So means Vault you take auth list or secrets or anything, it's a path ultimately. So we are defining that particular path whether it's accessible or not. Now grant and forbid will be defined using capabilities. Yes, means here when I say I wanted to access this or deny, how you define? By using a capabilities. This capabilities is a terminology in the Vault policy. So you will be using this word a lot in the Vault policy. So Vault policy means it's capabilities, as simple as that. So policies are denied by default. Yes. If you specify an empty policy, means it's a no permission. Same like AWS IAM, by default deny. And Vault policy is tied with the root token. Let's say I have a Vault server, I am logging in with my root token, right? So whatever the token you log in, that token will have a policy attached to it, as simple as. And you will be wondering how the policy will look. This is the policy which is in HCL language. Let's try to go further. Vault policy authorization flow. Let's say in the right side section, this user wanted to connect to the Vault server by using LDAP credential, right? Not only LDAP, this could be anything here. Then whenever he tries to log in, that login credential will be verified with the LDAP, but before the login, there will be a policies are attached that this user will be able to access or not. Means like an authorization policies. Whether this user will be able to access or not, this will verify and then return a token, and this user will be able to access. How the setup will be? It will be like that. A security team will set up a Vault policy in the Vault system, then map the authentication to the data policy. Means like whether this user is say from some particular team, that team only he will be able to access to the Vault. Why? Because Vault is a secret engine. Secret engine means only the legitimate users has to access. So this is not only LDAP or anything you can replace with this. That's in a high level. Now Vault has a built-in policies. So number one is a root, number two is a default. So these are the important with respect to exam as well. So root policy, right? Say, let's say here, right? So I will go to the UI and I'll grab my root token, right? Say Vault login token equal to, when I type a Vault login token, I logged in with the root token, and what are the policies attached to it? It's a root policy, because it's a I logged in with a super user account, which is the root token, right? And what is a root token? It's a super user. Yes, it has all the permissions to. And when this root token will be created? During the initialization phase. Initialization phase, if you remember, right? Vault operator init, that's what the command we have used before the seal and seal, right? So that's what the, and root policies are tied with the root token, yes, right? So here if you look at here, this is my root token. This root policies are only tied up with this guy by default. And what is this root token? Root policies capable of performing all actions on all path in terms of the technically. Yes, Vault is nothing but all the paths. So this root token you can access to the all the permission like a super user. Now default policies, common set of capabilities, and self-managing default token and cubbyhole data. So what exactly it means is, let's go to the UI and grab this token and log in, right? Whenever I log in with this token or any token, go to the policies, there is a default policy is there, and this policy is in the HCL format, allows tokens to look up their own properties. Since I am using a root token, but if I use any restricted token, also it will have the similar one, right? So these are all the default policies is a self-managing, and also it has access to the cubbyhole as well, and where tools hash, and there are the system defined. That's what it means. Now Vault policy types. So Vault has two different policy types. One is the ACL policies. ACL is nothing but access control list policies. Second is a Sentinel policies. So ACL policies are nothing but access control list, which is nothing but access related, anything related to authentication or authorization related to, say I wanted to access to secret, I wanted one person, say here this GVR, I wanted one person, only GVR to access this particular secret, rest of the secret GVR should not be able to access, or GVR should be able to access only this as a read only, that's it. No write, no update, no delete also, only no list also, something like that you can set. Fine grain control, yes, under the GVR web UI DB passwords, user web UI password, DB passwords, some other passwords, so you can configure the fine grain with the specific path, only this secret only he can read, something like that. Let's say the GVR has a username, passwords of a production, UAT, dev, all the systems. You can configure a particular user Venkat to access to specific dev username passwords like that. And templated policies for the identity based, and as well as it's for the groups as well. So there will be a separate slide, we will go through that. And Sentinel policies are basically for the Vault Enterprise Plus. You can't be able to use it in the general Vault system or the open source. For that you need to buy a license. Sentinel policies are logic based. So what exactly logic based means? Let's say India time and US times are totally different. There is a Vault server, you configure India time zone, only India people should be able to access. US time zone, only my team will be able to access. You need to write. and during the holidays you should not be able to, like a Deepavali and all these things. So you can configure any kind of a logic like a custom based policies, but whereas ACL policies are fine grained templated, etc. So we will see further. Now next, vault policy. Vault policy is a HCL language, as we have seen right here, HCL format. Now how the policy will looks, this is the way. So one thing to remember is, policy point of view, two major components. One is a path. This is a path, GVR/WebUI, and also you take the example of this. This is a path. That's number one. Number two is a capabilities. This is a capabilities. Path is path. Capabilities is a verb. What exactly the verb? So capabilities. Capabilities is a verb. Capabilities where you can define means here under the list, create, update, read list, right? Capabilities could be create, read, update, delete, list, patch, and sudo, and as well as a deny. These are the capabilities you can use it under the this guy. Other than these values you won't be able to use. And one thing to notice, these capabilities are linked with the, it's a REST API calls of REST methods, post, get, put, delete, list, patch. And other than that, there are two different, sudo and deny. I want my project leader to sudo access. I want my tester to deny access, or I want my customer to, or I want somebody to deny access, right? Something like that you can configure the capabilities. Now let's go to the capabilities, how it looks. Now number one, I define one capability, secret data test. This path could be anything. Here GVR WebUI, right? So here if you look at, right, yeah, so vault, right, KV and get, right? So this is my GVR WebUI. This is a path, under that it is stored. Here this path could be anything. You can set this path, and you can use a wildcard character star or plus. Capabilities are these capabilities you can. And second example, you can specify it only one category under the same secret data test. You can give a full permission, but secret data for this directory you can give only read permission. In that way you can configure as like you want. And another example is, there is under the secret there is a super secret, and nobody else should be able to access except I am the person. So you can just specify this kind of a capabilities, right? Or you can specify any path like this. Now fine grain control. How you define a fine grain? Same, you will define a policies along with the capabilities. You will specify allowed parameters. Means whenever you create a secret, allowed parameters, what are the values that allowed? Zip, zap, hyphen star, or means you can define like a password policies kind of. But in the secrets, see here, I 1 2 3 admin I just given for the testing purpose, right? So, and there is another fine grain is required parameter. If I am creating a policy for this particular path, only creation, but these are the bar and bars are the required. That means mandatory. He has to give these two, something like that. And other one is denied. So fine grain denied is what? Bar equal to test demo. Means I am allowing a secret / foo path. Creation is allowed, but whatever the bar value, test or demo, these words I want to deny. So allowed, required, denied. These are the fine grain access control. In the exam, if they ask, please try to remember this. Right? As simple as that. Now, next is a response wrapping TTLs. So TTL is nothing but time to leave. right? And whenever you define a policy along with the capabilities, you can specify for this particular path minimum wrapping TTL, maximum wrapping TTL. So 1 second, 90 seconds. This will be used whenever a Jenkins server is trying to access your some key value, right? In the previous session I have given a demo, right? In the Jenkins server, this AppRole is trying to access this particular secret. I define a policy that only 90 seconds, something like that. You can wrap with the time to leave. That's what the it's policies syntax. Now last is policy syntax point of view, templated policies. What exactly this templated policy? So templated policy is for the identities or entities. Here you are not defining for the specific authentication or specific secret. You are not specifying. What you are specifying is here is you are specifying an identity. So identities are groups. Here if you look at here, there is an identity group, say dev team, UAT team, testing team. So testing team can list, or anybody from so and so identity will have a list capabilities. So to the metadata can list, but whereas actual data can be created for the some identities. So this that how the you can do the templating. And how the templated policy will work is basically here. Currently for the all the identities only allowed as per the official documentation, means these identities you can use it only under the path only under the path. So if you go to the Vault server and scroll down to the end, there is a identity based policy is applied, right? And you will be able to see there are a policies where you see this is an identity based policy, means here identity entity name. So here self, I logged in as a root user. Here root user, this whoever the guy, he will be able to read all. That's what the, so it's an identity based. I think this is enough of explanation. Now Vault policy management. So Vault policies you can write, you can read, you can delete, you can list it, you can format it. How to do that? So Vault, right, policy and H. Vault policy list, Vault policy write with some file name, Vault policy delete, yes, and Vault policy format, which is format is same like a Terraform format. Why? Because you will be writing a Vault policies in the form of a HCL, and say let's say you forgot to put this particular tab space and you put this curly braces over here, automatically it will format, as simple as that, right? Now Vault policies can be created by using either CLI or API call, as simple as that. So if you go to the Vault documentation, right, and under the API, so you have various API calls, right? So which is something like this. So auth method, say AppRole, right? So let's go to the AppRole, right? So these are the API calls, like you can specify and it will be there. Get, post, put methods, all the, say if you wanted to create some policy on the system path level, say system host information you wanted to give access to somebody, right? So you can just grab the path from here. So this is the good for the API reference point of view, right? Now Sentinel policies. So Sentinel policies basically for the enterprise, as we have seen, and how the format is. So Sentinel policy point of view, something like a Python program or C++ or like a C, C++, Java, C# like a program. You will be importing some libraries which is defined by the Hashicorp, and you can define a variables, and there is a function. With this function is looks same like Terraform, Of course, it's by the HCL. Say here, the example is I wanted to access my vault server only in the business hours only. After the business hours, my password should not be accessible. How you configure? You will import a time. This bunch of libraries available. Work days. You will be creating a rule. It's Sentinel policy is nothing but it's a rule. You will tell the rule. You are telling the rule that time dot now dot weekday is so and so 0 and 6 means only 5 days. Or hours, what is hours? Morning 7 to evening 6 o'clock. And what is the actual rule? You are telling the main rule, work days and work hours. This is work hours, work days, as simple as that. So you can like write a custom policies and apply to the Vault Enterprise Plus, so that if somebody access after the 6 o'clock, it will deny. So that's a beauty. And second example is the CIDR range specific. I pulled out this example from Vault official documentation. So everything is available in the Vault official documentation. So need not to note down or need not to take a screenshot or anything, right? So if you go to the Vault project.io.docs, under that there will be a policy. At policies, everything is here, diagram and all. Okay, right. Now, Vault policy use case. So where you can use Vault policies are associated to authentication methods. Yes, Jenkins server say wanted to access, right? So wanted to access, Jenkins server wanted to access to say this secret, right? So you can configure a policy for the TTL, etc., right? That's what we did. And ACL policies, access control list. So for the specific users, you can create a separate token, so that those guys only can access this secret, right? And apply policies to a token, right? Say if a tester wanted to test it, so you can create a policy and create a token for him. How to create a token? Vault token create. It will create a new token. But while creating a token, you will attach a policy. That's it. So, and write policy using audit logs. Yes, as well. So if you wanted to audit, etc., you can leverage that one as well with the policies. And templated policy and associated with the login and roles and groups, etc. So these are the various use cases. But the most important is a Jenkins point of view. If this is a Jenkins system, right, there are two secrets in the system, and default rule and root policies are there. So you will enabling AppRole and as well as creating a role with the policy. Here you are not simply creating a role with the policy. Policy of what? This system can access only this secret only. And once you create a role, it will create a role ID and it will give you password. With the username and password, you will log in and get it. That's it. And you can add on top of that whatever this system can only read, not list also. Just read. Like that. Yeah. Now the demo. So I'm in a Vault server which is provisioned by using this Vagrant and which is internally uses Ubuntu 22.04, and this will be there in this particular GitHub page. Now, so Vault policy point of view steps as a simple steps. Create a database KV or secret. So create a secret, that means, so I think I have already secrets are available here. So Vault secrets list. Yes, I have a secrets. Say if I wanted to read my secrets, so Vault KV get. So I have a one secret is available. Also Vault auth list, I have a auth as well. I have a username, password, etc. also available. Say Vault, say Vault list auth users, and in this path I have a GVR user also is created. So right, this is the first step. Then second is a create policy to access a DB secret. Means whatever the secret I have, GVR web UI, I will create a policy around it. That's what the second step. So for that I need to create a policy. So here I will create an inline policy. So how it is a Vault policy write, right? And I wanted to create a web policy, which is inline policy I am trying to create. So what is my policy is GVR web / star. So if you look at my secret structure, this is my secret under the GVR. Web UI is the only secret I have, which has these passwords: username equal to admin, password equal to 123. And so I wanted to make this GVR web UI only readable, but other than the web UI dev or star, I wanted to make it. So let's modify that as a create, update, and also I wanted to make it a list, and also I wanted to make it a read, but not a delete operation. So these are the capabilities I have kept. So means like a web UI folder, I am strictly making it read only. So now when I create a hit enter, automatically my vault policies are created. So and how do I verify that? Say vault policy list, it will show me the policy list. So if you look at here, there is a root policy and default policy. Where this Jenkins came from? If you remember from the last session, for the Jenkins point of view, AppRole authentication point of view, we have demonstrated this demo. So for that I created a policy secret MySQL web app, only the read permission I have given. So if you go to the secret MySQL and web app, there are the passwords I have given, right? So that's a policy. And the default policy, yes, of course we have seen the default policy as well. And the root policy, yes, you can't be able to see, and as well as you can't modify, etc. And this web policy just now I created. So I can go and create a new policy here as well, but the best practice is by using this one. Now I wanted to see the policy, right? I wanted to read vault policy read. I wanted to read the web policy. This is how you can describe the policy, right? Now the policy is created. Number 2. Number 3, create a token with policy. Yes. So now we created a secret and create a policy, but how to access? You need to create a token, right? So currently I am logged in with my root token, but I have to create a new token with whatever the created policy. So how to do that? Vault token create with policy. I can create a vault token create also, but I wanted to create a token with a web policy attached, which is this guy, right? And when I hit enter, then automatically a new token will be generated. What is this token? This token has a default policies, and default duration is a 768 hours, and token you can renew, and it has a default policy and web policy also attached. So now I will log in. So vault login, right? Token equal to like impersonation. So when I hit enter, I logged in as this user, right? Now how to verify that? Vault auth list, it's denied. Why? Because my this particular policy, right? Let's go here and I will show you in the colorful UI, right? So web policy, my token is basically allows to these secrets only. So let's try to verify that. Now the next one, vault also I logged in with the token and I forgot. And what are the capabilities? Vault token capabilities of GVR, I have a deny. Vault capabilities of web UI, I know GVR is there is a secret is available, but web UI read, yes, good. And after the web UI there is a test folder, yes, deny. Why? Because my vault policy only until the web UI, there is no / and star here, right? So they given a strictly to here, and vault token capabilities, not web UI, but there is other one dev, right? Say if I specify the dev test 1, I have a capabilities, I can read it. So this is how you can verify whatever the token you log in, you will be able to verify. And how to test that, right? Now vault kv put, I wanted to create gvr and user equal to gvr, I wanted to create put. Yes, I will be able to create, but let me try to put into the this path gvr web UI, right? So copy and yeah, so I wanted to override gvr equal to say john 123, it's denied. Why? Because my policy is allows only read only, right? So vault kv get gvr web UI, I can read. That's how the I can do. Now the next thing is this particular path doesn't have a delete permission. Let's try to delete that. So vault kv, right? If you don't know the command vault kv and -h, it will tell you vault kv what are the things, actions you can do, delete, undelete, etc. And what is the delete command? Vault kv delete and whatever the secret path, right? So let's, right now vault key value delete, which is this is the one. And what is the path here? gvr test, I have created the, right? So gvr dev test, right? I have a delete, but I have a create permission. So vault kv put, instead of test I wanted to do the test 1, user equal to gvr2, I can put. So this is how you can do the various things. Last but not the least, so there is a one way to get the vault token capabilities, right? And there is a admin token, and whereas you can verify with the admin token has what are the capabilities. So identity, entity, or like a sys auth AppRole. So in this way you can verify if you are using admin token. So usually these tokens will be stored in a environment variable, and you will be verifying with this way. Yeah, that's it for this particular session point of view. And what are these are the commands which all are available under the documentation, vault policies documentation, and also there is a learn Hashicorp, also there everything is available here. Need not to note down or need not to write or anything. I will try to arrange this particular deck in the GitHub very soon. And thank you. And this is a mutual sharing session. If I miss anything, please feel free to let me know, and as well as let me know your feedback. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks for listening.